Hi, my name's Phil. I talk about politics, and it's over 4 years since the UK voted to leave the EU, and 5 months before Brexit comes into force. So I thought I'd do a little update on what the EU have been doing for post-Brexit in that time for the trade, and what the UK, who have actually chosen this path, have done as well. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news in politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So the EU, of course, is about much more than trade, and it's the political project that I will miss the most. It drives human rights, workers' rights, environmental protections. These are all things that our Conservative governments resent so much. Outside of the EU, all of those benefits will be tossed onto the bonfire, as indeed have already begun to do so. But it had been said right from the start that Britain's main interest in the European community has always been mercantile. Trade is all that most people on this rock are interested in, so that's what I'm going to focus on here. So the UK leaving the EU along the hard Brexit path that we have chosen means that there will be a loss of trade on both parts. Naturally, it will affect the UK more than the EU. That's because proportionally, far more of our exports go to the EU than the EU's exports will be coming to the UK. And it's not just about the EU, of course. Accessing the single market also gave us free trade with other countries as well. So what's happened in terms of arranging trade, growing trade in the 4 years since the Brexit referendum? Well, and this isn't specifically about Brexit, of course, but the EU has brought online a number of free trade deals, agreed deals and implemented deals since that Brexit referendum. So the most significant, bringing online Singapore and Japan and agreeing deals with Mercosur, the South American trade bloc. And it was recently pointed out that this is worth 598 billion euros to the EU. You know, the sum total of the extra trade deals they've carried out is worth 598 billion euros. Now, by comparison, the UK trade is worth 512 billion euros. So even if they lost all trade with the UK, which won't happen, it won't be all trade, then they'll still be up on the deal. So since 2016, the EU will have more trade value post-Brexit in 2021 than it did before the referendum, even given the loss of frictionless trade with the UK. So 2021 represents a net gain for the EU of about 2.5%. So how has the UK fared? Now, we have implemented a few carryover agreements. It's not that all of our agreements disappear on the 1st of January 2021. You know, we have got some agreements, you know, to carry on the same measures. We don't have anything that's better. We have some that's the same with such powerful economies as Kosovo. And Dominic Raab was champion Liechtenstein last week. He actually went on the telly and said, we've got a deal with Liechtenstein. Yay. Mustn't be unkind, actually. We also have an agreement with Switzerland, which is a major economy. But that is by far the largest economy with whom we do have an agreement. Not that trade with Switzerland carries on as normal as such after Brexit. We do have the agreement that carries on the same general terms, of course, but part of trade is moving goods from one place to another. And of course, all I'm focusing on here is trading goods. Trading services, completely knackered. So we have to remember that goods have to physically pass between the UK and Switzerland. Now that means going through EU countries, unless it's flown directly, which much of it is not. So that means it has to pass the border. It always has to pass the border between the EU and Switzerland. That's not going to change. But it also has to now pass the border between the UK and the EU, which is going to be messy now. So those border crossings are going to be messy in both directions. Although Switzerland has an agreement with the EU, it doesn't mean there's frictionless trade there. It's not the same frictionless trade as exists, say, between other EU member states. So the wait time at the border between, say, Switzerland and France, which is the large border there, is anywhere between 20 minutes and 2 hours. Now, of course, a lot of us will be sat here thinking, well, I don't drive a lorry. Is that good? Is that bad? So you compare that with the 2 minutes it takes between EU countries. So we've been told that between the UK and the EU, which moment is 2 minutes, an extra 2 minutes would represent 17 miles of tailbacks at Dover. This is why Brexit supporting Tory MPs in Kent are up in arms at the moment, because the government is building a load of giant lorry parks in their constituencies. Apparently these MPs didn't know that Brexit means Brexit. So imagine what delays similar to that at the Swiss EU border at both ends would do. Because 17 miles of tailbacks for 2 extra minutes, well, there's a minimum of 20 minutes to get them through the Swiss border. But the bottom line is that when you look at the trade that we currently get via the EU, we look like losing agreements worth 27% of our export trade in January. So that's what I worked out. Now that was based on free trade agreements. We have hundreds and hundreds of trade agreements via the EU. Not all of them are free trade agreements. All of them, of course, are better than WTO terms. Now, I haven't gone through all 700 odd and worked out the cumulative effects. I've just done the free trade agreements, which is relatively easy to look up. And that is a 27% loss compared to 2016. But that's not fair, Phil, the Brexiteers cry, because there's deals that will offset that, better deals. What about the US trade deal we're getting? Okay. Well, the government have already abandoned the notion of getting that this year, but they still think January is possible. All right then, okay. We'll add that in. Fair enough. So the government's own report on the US trade deal, the government's own report, this Brexit government's own report, which is of course an optimistic appraisal of the situation, reckons it's worth about 0.2% to us. So fair enough, we'll balance that against the 27% loss from exiting the EU without replacing our free trade deals with the EU and others. And we're left with, actually that's still 27% loss because I rounded off to the nearest percent. So the EU has improved its trade capacity by 2.5% based on 2016 figures, whereas the UK, based on those same figures, has reduced its trade capacity by 27%. And yet, here we are, still, with Brexiteers like David Davis and Mark Francois telling us that the EU are so afraid of losing the UK market that they will back down at the last minute and cave in to our demands. So, let me get this right, Mr. Francois. The side that's 2.5% up on the deal is going to cave in to the side that's 27% down on the deal. And as I say, that 27% is based on free trade agreements. Very, very fiddly to bring everything in. I haven't done that. There are also other markets with whom we have better than World Trade Organization terms for trade, such as the United States, including that old United States. Too fiddly to work out the total reduction in our trade capacity. So again, it comes down to this. Let's say David Davis and Mark Francois aren't lying. Let's just say they're stupid. So if these sorts of people that are influencing our Brexit policies right now, assuming that they are influencing our Brexit policies, are genuinely of the belief that we will finish this year with the deal that they say we can get, that gives us at least equal trade terms to that which we enjoy right now, they are in for a rather rude awakening at the end of this year and in for some major education in international trade next January. Of course, the hedge fund managers are happy. The value of the pound against the euro has dropped since Brexit Day on January the 31st by 7.5%. And goodness knows how low it will go before we've done. You can see now why a number of senior Brexiteers advised their friends and associates to move their money out of the country. And since we're talking about value since the Brexit referendum as a comparative, the pound since the 22nd of June 2016, because the referendum was on the 23rd, has dropped in value against the euro by 15.5%, netting these people billions, absolutely billions, while we have paid for it with less money and quality life for ourselves. But you know, will of the people apparently, because history is absolutely replete with examples of people knowingly voting to make their own lives worse for the benefit of the wealthiest in society. Poor babies, they need a few more billion. But there it is, that is the situation. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.